Welcome to Hoops Zooted, the show that combines your two favorite things, weed and basketball. Pack 'em all and grab a seat as Evan rambles on about this team he's loved for the past 40 plus years.
Welcome to another edition of Hoops Zooted. I am your host, Evan Moore, and what a week. It's been a rough week for me personally, as well as a rough week for the Lakers here, up and down, and oh my God. When is this shit gonna stop? I guess it's just time to embrace the suck. Anyway, so tonight, got the old trusty bong. I'm still being lazy about cleaning the fucking thing. Yeah, all that preaching I do about cleaning it, and here I'm getting lazy just because of this. Just don't want to do it right now. Anyway. But tonight I'm smoking a little bit of Louis the 13th just because that was the highest percentage of concentration strain that we could get. It was almost 30%. So I needed something good and strong. Anyway, I'm going to light this up here before we get started because it's been one hell of a week before I start to recap. Because the recap started off even terrible. So I think I need to have a few hits before I start with that. So let's play a little music first. That's a little bit better. So anyway, since the last time I talked to you, to start it off, you played the Jazz. And we've already lost to the Celtics this year. And losing to the Jazz just would sting extra. I even tweeted it out before the game, like the thought of possibly losing to this game, was almost making me, just putting me into depression already, because losing to the Celtics is bad enough, but then also having to lose to Danny Ainge's team too, and so of course, what did they do? They go out and get spanked. They go out and get spanked by the Jazz, and they had to start off the week such a lovely lovely way to start things off last week. And anyway, but then of course, You know what this team loves to do right after that? It's the false hope. The false hope. They go and they beat Oklahoma City 112-105. And, look pretty good. Look pretty good. Here, that's once again, we keep beating Oklahoma City. We seem to own them this season. Like, this team is so goddamn frustrating. And then they follow that up, a couple nights later by just whipping Dallas and one of the best looking games that they played all season. They win that one 127-110. So, here I am thinking we've turned a corner. Hey, maybe this meeting finally did work. D'Lo's been playing great. It just, but of course with this team, they're allergic to win streaks. They're absolutely allergic to win streaks. I don't think Darvin Ham has strung together more than 5 games in his tenure here. And I mean, that's insane when you think about, we've given him enough talent. Yeah, he's not using this right. And this is getting frustrating. And it's very obvious that these guys just don't mess with him, that they don't fuck with him at all. He's lost this team because tonight at home, Brooklyn comes in and kicks our ass 130-112. And now this game tonight, they started off really good. They look great in that first quarter. Great energy, good hustle. But then it's just, they slowly kind of let go of the rope there in the second a little bit, but still we're holding them in arm's distance, good 6 to 7 point lead. And then they come out in the third and just stink up the joint and just can't play defense. And, I think we really need to address Taurean Prince's defense, especially. Everybody's talking about Austin and D'Lo all the time and complaining about their defense. And I'm, this is not me saying, you shouldn't be complaining about them too, because they're an issue too. Let's be clear here. I'm not trying to give them bail at all either. But Taurean Prince has been getting let off the hook just way too much. What is this? His defense has been awful. And I don't feel he's compensating enough offense to make up for that. And, it's a problem with all 3 of those players, in fact. D'Lo, Austin, and Taurean Prince. They need to be split up now. This is so tough for me because I am torn, and I do understand also why the front office has these stances, that a lot of these stances that are making a lot of the fans so angry. I do understand why they're making them from a business standpoint. The whole thing about, waiting to see if this team was worth investing in to make a trade or not. That is understandable from a business standpoint, even though that's frustrating from a fan standpoint, because what I look at what this front office is doing right now is that they are looking long-term. Now, whether we like that as Laker fans or not, that is what they are doing. They're looking long-term. It's not about just going all in right now to get this chip, even though, yes, it's the other frustrating thing is we see Boston over there doing great, and we don't want them to get to 18 before us. So, yes, this is very frustrating for a lot of Laker fans. But I think the other thing we have to look at with this team is they're trying, hopefully, to build something that, could potentially win now, but also can set us up in the future to be a good team, that's still competitive and still a championship team, surrounded with AD. So I do get that. It makes sense. And I also understand why a lot of fans are frustrated by that. But the other way I look at it too is that, I personally would prefer them to have a dynasty as opposed to just blowing it all for one more chip with LeBron. And, a lot of people may disagree with me on that, and that's fine. Um, I think there's a few reasons for that. One is first LeBron's age at 39. We have to be realistic about this. Like this year and next year are probably our last chances to get a chip with LeBron. Let's be truly, truly realistic. And next year's a even bigger stretch. So, we it that's why the reasoning of, if there's not enough with this team, why go all in? Because there's a good chance that, LeBron goes somewhere else anyway and plays with Bronny, which we're fine with. And, we start building around AD. So, and we've got, more resources, more assets to be able to, make that kind of move next season. So it makes sense from a business standpoint. And, I understand, like, yeah, it is very frustrating because, yes, this tenure with LeBron, I don't know about the rest of you, but I think we all expected at least two championships. And it has been a little frustrating to only get one, but the circumstances just unfortunately, you know, been against us. COVID messed things up, with the shortened off season the following year and all the injuries. And then the following year, blowing that team up, only bringing 3 players back. And, the bringing Russ in and it not working at all. It just, well, and actually that's not fair to say it not working at all with Russ, because there were moments where it did work. It didn't work as we planned, I think is the better way to put that. Because that, I'll still never blame Russ for all that. That was a bad decision and a bad fit to begin with, that I think the front office just didn't think through well enough. So anyway, it's just more of Loserville, and just actually, I need to take another hit here. See, taking a pause here. I'm getting worked up here. So just bear with me for a second. No music this time. Just gonna take a quickie. So anyway, just more Loserville. That's we're sucking the sad trombone, lad. Can't put it together. Can't put a win streak together. And there's so much potential and talent with this team. That's what's so frustrating. Like we see those wins over OKC and Dallas this week. And it's just like, yeah, you're hopeful. Like look, you know what this team can be, especially that game against Dallas. They look great. Both sides of the floor. And to come out tonight and just lay another stinker, just, yeah, like they're not into it. They're just not into it. And Ham's hold on this team, in my opinion, it's tenuous at best. He is losing this team. And we all saw that video this week, I'm sure, on Twitter, of Austin walking right by him, in the Dallas game as they're getting warmed up, and he's trying to high five him, and Austin like snubs him twice, actually. So, I mean, part of that, I do want to be real about that. Like, as a player, it's obvious that, I've been watching this game for a long time, and a lot of players just don't fuck with coaches. But the other side of that too is everything going on, and I feel like Austin does have kind of a reason to be a little yeah, I'm cool, coach, yeah, whatever. And so, but it also it speaks to what's going on in that locker room. And you know and then after tonight's game, both D'Lo and LeBron come out, and they were kind of subbing him in the press conferences too. So, there's three of the six, in my opinion, right there. Three of the six right there: D'Lo, Austin, and LeBron, that don't like Ham. And I think we can pretty easily figure out who the other three are. But this is a problem. This is a problem, and I just don't see, will a trade actually make a difference or not? I'm so torn on that completely right now, because yes, I do definitely see the deficiencies in this team. You know, like I was talking earlier, D'Lo, Austin, and Torian Prince, that trio needs to be broken up. They are terrible defensively, uh, and they're not good enough offensively to offset it. So, and that's the other reason why there's a good argument for starting Vando instead, because there's enough offense between D'Lo, Reeves, Braun, and AD that you can have Vando completely specialize on defense in that starting lineup, and that's a much more balanced starting lineup. And I'm sure there's a lot of X and O's guys that will disagree with me on that, but I've seen it in action. I've seen Vando be able to hide D'Lo and Reeves a little bit better because he's there at point of attack. So the eye test for me tells me, at least for this team, that's at least a better solution for now. But whether or not Ham's going to do that, because apparently Torian Prince has got some sort of dirty pictures on Ham or something. I mean, how does he just keep committing? And this is what baffles me completely too, is that Ham is supposedly this defensive coach. We hired him because he's a defensive coach. I've seen him favor guys defensively. He favored Dennis all last year. He favored Cam this year. He's favored Gabe Vincent earlier this year. And it was strictly because what they were doing on the defensive end. But how he's favoring Torian makes no sense to me. There's just it goes completely against the philosophy that he was doing. So I'm completely confused on all that, and I don't know like I said, I don't know if the trade's going to make a difference. And like I said, that I feel like the front office, they I have a sneaky suspicion they really, really hoped that this was going to be a good season and they could just sit on all these assets this year. And they're kind of in a pickle right now because this team has beat good teams, but still has got some sort of internal issues and does need some sort of shakeup, to hopefully kind of right the ship here. Even though like there's still part of me like, that's why we've got this background up here. It's, I feel like it's just switching the deck chairs on the Titanic. That's it's tough. And like this team is making me so bipolar these days. Like, well, I should say more bipolar than usual. Like, as a fan, like I think we all get a little bipolar, like going up and down between wins and losses. But yeah, this is like I've said before, it's more than a game to a lot of us. We love this. We love this stuff. So anyway, but the other thing too is that I think the trade is definitely more likely than Darvin getting fired. It makes more sense. Like that 4-year contract is the big obstacle in all of this. And yeah, they just don't want to be paying that out. They finally just finished paying for Frank Vogel, and to do it, especially when when the chances, at least odds wise, like if you're just gambling, it's the odds aren't good. If you get a new coach, it's not going to do that much. But my argument here too is if the front office is really thinking about the future and thinking about post LeBron, let's invest in a good coach. Let's either fire Ham now, put Phil Handy in place, or do it, and so we can do a really good search, or if we've got a good candidate that we can try and turn to, like Rajon Rondo. Anyway, that's a bit of a pipe dream, but we got to do something. And like I said, if this front office really feels like that they're building for the future and post LeBron, like I think we really need to consider doing something about Darvin Ham, because this situation is becoming untenable. So I don't know if there's going to be any easy solution to this. And, I don't know necessarily Phil Handy's much better. But like I've said before, the one thing I do like about Phil Handy is it seems like those guys really respect him. And, LeBron especially. And I think it's really important that we have, quote unquote, a LeBron guy, with if we're trying to win with LeBron. And, it still goes back to, I'm still bitter that we lowballed Ty Lue. And, he was a former Laker, and, I'll never let that go. And, no offense, Frank Vogel. I think I appreciate the championship. I'm sorry it didn't work out, in subsequent years. And, do appreciate the championship though, but I wish they would have hired Ty Lue instead of you. So anyway, it is what it is. We gotta move. Sometimes you gotta embrace the suck. And that's what we got to do right now as Lakers fans. We got to embrace the suck. Because here we are, the year of Kobe, and we can't get over 500. Anyway, on that note, I need a couple more hits. So let's play a little music. Ah, okay, that's a little bit better. Get a little water too. So anyway, on to, since we're not going to fire him, we're going to do a trade most likely. And, first thing with D'Lo, like, I think it was obvious when we signed D'Lo, or when he re-signed, I should say, that um, he knew what the deal was. That basically this was a kind of show us what you got, or we're going to chop around at the trade deadline. And just with everything that's gone on this year, it just kind of reconfirms that. Like, he started off hot, really good there in preseason, looked like he was motivated, looked great, and then things started to slide. And I think it's all because of how he felt about his role and not understanding what was going on with Ham. And Ham just completely lost him. And we've tried to gain him back, but like at this point, like, can we trust him? And like, it's unfortunate because like he's such a perfect fit when he plays well. And we really could have gone far with him had things worked out right. But it's also, part of it is him too. I can't give D'Lo, complete bail in this, because part of it is his attitude. He's the one who got a little bit lazy just because Ham was not making the role clear and not, I mean, it's we all saw it with our own eyes. Let's be honest, and so like my stance with D'Lo, I'm so torn, like, but at the same time, like, can we trust him? Can we trust him? And I think that's kind of the bottom line is, can we trust him? And I think that's why he's trade bait and why he almost kind of needs to be traded, unfortunately. So, I'm not opposed to the DeJounte Murray trade, but I'm skeptical that we'll get that now. I'm really, really skeptical now because today we got a report that the Bucks showed interest, but that it's kind of a, like mostly, all smoke, no fire, it seems like, because like, the whole thing, like, it was also kind of ridiculous too. It like came out with like on Twitter with breaking news and like, I was shocked immediately, but then like, you know, people on my timeline who actually knew what, no cap and no assets and stuff like that, like immediately were telling me like, the Bucks really just, they don't have anything. They don't have the picks. They don't have, so like what are we doing here? And like, because I was shocked because like it just didn't make sense also of, you've already got Dame and, adding DeJounte to Dame, that not necessarily like you could maybe hope that it's an upgrade, I guess, replacing Beasley for him, but like would they take Beasley in return? And I mean that like it just doesn't seem likely. But what does seem likely is that this is something to kind of start a bidding war and drive the price up, because I think that they want to make sure that they can, excise the Lakers tax from us. And I don't think Rob wants to pay it. So I'm really skeptical that we're going to get Murray. Um, I can see how it can be possibly an upgrade over D'Lo, but the one thing that does worry about worry me about Murray. Try and say that fast. Worry me about Murray. Um, anyway, is his shooting is a little bit streaky, and yeah, D'Lo is a little bit streaky, but I feel like D'Lo is just a little more consistent, as far as knocking them down from three. And so that we do take a slight downgrade in that. And, hopefully, and we're hoping that DeJounte, brings his defense with him that, he had in San Antonio. So yeah, I'm not completely sold on that one anyway, but I'm I'm just really skeptical now that we're going to get him, because there's even speculation that Miami's going to get involved. And he was seen, he was playing Miami today, and he was taking pictures of the banners in Miami, which is, it is an odd kind of thing to do, kind of admiring the banners of another team you're about to play. You know, it does kind of make it seem like maybe he's thinking about want to play there. And of course that's complete speculation on our part, and could be just completely off base. But like the signs, like I said, it just I'm skeptical at this point that we're going to get Murray. It just seems like there's a lot of other teams that are going to want him, and I don't know if we're going to have enough for what the Hawks want, or the exact assets the Hawks want as well, because you know a lot of our assets are looked at as neutral assets, or even a few of them are even negative. So you know that's the way it goes, and that's the other reason why things might stand pat, is because of all that. So like all these trade rumors are just swirling everywhere. Because the Lakers are also linked to Bruce Brown now too. And I'm not opposed to that either, but like that's another contract we got to figure out, like who we give up for him. And you know yeah, that's, and like I've said before, I'm not a cap guy, so I'm not the best for telling you all that stuff. You guys got your podcast for that kind of stuff. I think I think when you come to this podcast, I'm at least I'm hoping you know what you get here. So anyway, like I said, I like Bruce Brown. That's not a bad thing. And I'd love the idea of like Bruce Brown helping us get revenge on Denver. That's all fun and everything, But yeah, we'll see. Like because the other thing that I've also been thinking about too is if we do that 3-team trade that they've been talking about with Brooklyn and the Hawks to possibly get DeJounte, even though I'm still skeptical of that. Maybe if they could throw Lonnie in with that too, like that kind of like is intriguing to me. Give us DeJounte and Lonnie, because I love the continuity of bringing Lonnie back, at least as far as like, somebody who could bring some continuity from last year and some experience from from the playoffs and the Western Conference Finals. And, that would be great. But, we'll see. And then the other thing that has gotten thrown out there too is possibly bringing Caruso back. And that would be fun as well, like in the double-barreled white boys would be hilarious and just so much fun. And yeah, like I would be ecstatic to have Caruso back. But I think that's a hard ask because they're going to want a lot for Caruso. They really covet him. So, as much as we want that one, I think that one's out of reach probably. But we also got to remember, all of this, like Rob, he moves in silence, and we can't, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. And it's, sitting here trying to predict, especially as a Lakers fan, like, I can tell you from experience, like, most of these things that like, look around the league, like how many other teams do you see that get these crazy trade rumors thrown out every freaking year? It's, and part of it is LeBron, It's, because the pressure to win championships. And, actually that makes me also want to address like a lot of people. There's a lot of people on the timeline who seem to think that, LeBron is the GM and, LeBron is the one who ships out all these players. I think you don't quite understand that these organizations are the ones who feel that pressure. It's not, LeBron is not being the GM. These organizations are like, hey, we have to do something with this great player. They're trying, like, as much as we, get angry and, wish they did better and, did it our way, whatever, like they are trying the best they can. And, we can say that a lot of them aren't very good at it for sure, but they are trying. They are trying. Like, it is frustrating. Like, these are human beings we're dealing with. These are athletes, and you roll the dice, and we're coming up snake eyes right now, unfortunately. And hoping we had rolled sevens, but that's the way it goes sometimes, So anyway, moving on. I'm still I'm like a dog with the bone with this. I'm not letting go of this. We need to fire Darvin Ham. And saying that I just take another hit. We need to fire that motherfucker. Like, it's getting ridiculous. Anyway, I can't take it anymore. I've seen some pretty bad coaches over the years. Aaron Scott was pretty bad. Kurt Rambis was pretty bad. Luke Walton was pretty bad. Magic Johnson was pretty bad. But he didn't last long either. But anyway, all love Magic. We love you. In my mind, like, Magic can, when Magic does wrong, he still does no wrong to me. But that's, anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, I've seen so many frustrating coaches, so many coaches that didn't quite understand. Like I keep talking about the coaching in the pros, in my opinion, is more of a artful negotiation than it is a dictatorship. These are grown men making millions of dollars. And it's easy to sit back at home and kind of like fantasize that this is like, high school ball where, what coach says goes. But you got to understand, like these are grown men making millions of dollars, like, and they've been playing this game a long time, and they know this game well. This is, yeah, and I was frustrated. I thought Darvin had kind of gotten the picture. I thought he was getting better this week. He gave us false hope. Like, I mean, that Dallas game was fabulous. And it's the kind of thing where we're like thinking like, oh, hey, the front office is probably believing in this team again to maybe actually do that trade. So like, and it does make sense. It's like, I still feel there's enough of that core, but we've got to kind of smooth out the edges. This is, but we also have to kind of we also have to be realistic about this. I think once we smooth out the edges, we're still, probably going to be like a 6 seed at best, and trying to climb from the bottom again. So just be ready for it, Lakers fans. It's strap in. It's a rough season. If if you can't hang anymore, whatever, but like, people like me, I'm always going to be here. You can always, if you're sick of watching games, you can always just watch my podcast. I'll tell you what's going on every week. Either way, just please watch my podcast. But like I said, we can go with Phil Handy, and I'm not opposed to that. And people keep bringing up Terry Stotts, and I'm not opposed to that either. That's not a terrible idea. And that's hoping to build something for the future, maybe. But like I said, for me, still like Rajon Rondo. Rondo is the dream for me. Like, that's the guy I want coaching this team. There's something special, in my opinion, about Rondo and AD, and Rondo and LeBron, and all three of them together. Like, they have this chemistry and this synergy and this understanding of the game and this understanding of each other's game that I really feel I believe propelled us to that 2020 championship. So I know it's a complete long shot, because I believe last I heard it, he was doing college coaching. So it's probably a complete long shot, as well as a lot of you're hiring another unknown first year coach, and a lot of people are completely opposed to that idea of like hiring him as the head coach. Because I also wouldn't be opposed to if we're keeping him, if we could at least just have Rondo on the bench, like, that would be helpful. But I think we have to kind of realize that this team is capped by this coach, and it's pretty obvious, and it's pretty obvious that these players have given up on him. So we can make of that what we want, do with that what we want, but I don't see any easy way out of this. I mean, we're in we're in a mess that's going to be just up and down like this for the rest of the season until and until we get some sort of smarter resolution, and like maybe Ham can come to his senses next game and start Vando. That might be another step in the right direction, but it could also just be another quick little 2-game spurt of false hope again. It's hard to say. It's hard to say with this team. It's like Jekyll and Hyde. This is the most Jekyll and Hyde fucking team that I've seen in a long time here for the Lakers. Like, just back and forth. Like, how can we just dominate over Dallas the other night and then get our asses kicked to Brooklyn, who I think the announcers were saying something tonight. They were like, 4-12 in their last 16 or something like that. Yeah, but I may be getting those numbers wrong, but it was some. Yeah, they haven't been winning a lot basically, but we gave them a nice bonus tonight. Oh, and after coming out so good in the first quarter, like, and what we've been complaining about all year, like, they don't come out in the first quarter. So obviously what happened is they came out in the first quarter, expended too much energy, went there at halftime, had a big fucking buffet, and couldn't finish the game. What the fuck, man? Jesus Christ. But here, sorry, gotta take a little drink here. That's funny. Like, I'll always still be a Laker fan. And, I see a lot of stuff on my timeline too about, like, I'll always be a Laker fan. And a lot of people are talking about, well, I'm done watching this team. And, it's funny to me. Like, we're all Laker fans. And, like, I think at the end of the day, like, all of us we'll keep coming back. And, there might be a few that fall off here and there, but, like, we'll keep coming back. And, we'll get little packs maybe that fall off, kind of like, the certain Warriors fans that used to be Laker fans that have broken off and, created their little pack of rabid animals. Let them have their fun. Let fans be fans is my main message here in the end. Just, it at the end of the day, like, the whole, like, you're not a real Laker fan it's hilarious to me. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, to me, if you've got a human body, and you like the Lakers, and you're a real human being, you're a real Laker fan. Like, I don't care. Like, come on, man. Like, this whole thing of, like, holding on to certain principles, like, fans are fans for different reasons. Like, you gotta let fans fan, and it's okay, like, to argue with each other, whatever about it. But, like, yeah, I like to let fans fan as much as I can, but, I love to talk ball, and I love to argue those. So you can mix the things in and have fun sometimes. Anyway, I guess that means really only one thing.
It's time for historical Gas or
Yes, historical stoner circle. And on this edition of Historical Stoner Circle, I would just like to have a big powwow with Lakers Nation. This is rough. This is rough what we're all going through. So pack a bowl, chill, do what you need to do. Try not to let this team destroy your mental health. This is frustrating. Yes, we had high hopes for this team. This sucks balls. We can't deny it. But don't let it fuck up your cool, man. You know, one thing about being a Laker fan that I'd like to implore all of you, you know, and you know, I did just give a speech about letting me fan, and that still stands. But like, one of the things I love about being a Laker fan, and you know, you can take this for whatever you want, but I love our arrogance and our like Teflon nature. Like, we can take the slings and arrows of all this, and you know, I know this is tough, but like, I feel it's easier for me just because I've seen 11 of these, and maybe some of you younger ones that have only maybe seen the 2021 even, like, you know, this is probably like really hard on you, and I totally get that, because there's a big part of me that like, it breaks my heart that this generation hasn't had a dynasty yet. Like, I want a dynasty for this generation so badly. So that's the other reason that I kind of understand what they're trying to do. And I'm hoping that we can do that, because if we can't get it with LeBron, maybe we can at least, you know, snatch a couple with AD and have ourselves a little mini dynasty, you know. Fingers crossed, you know, because I would really love for this generation, you know, to get a dynasty. But also, that being said, like, you know, hey, like, let's be cool about this, man. Like, as frustrating as things are, like, let's try and do our best to kind of stay cool as we go down with this sinking ship here, you know. if you can, you know, just grab a little bit of indica, preferably, you know, because that'll help calm you down, you know. Stay away from the sativas. Yeah. So anyway, you know, it's been great as always, you know. And if I can find it, here we are. Everybody, just have a good time. You know, do your best to not take this too hard. Smoke a bowl, and we'll all get through this together, man. That's the other thing. Like, you know, also shout out to all Lakers fam. Like, you know, I appreciate y'all. Like, you help me get through this, and help me get through some of the crap that's been going on in my personal life too. That's been a pain in the ass too. So thank you very much. It's, you know, we all get through this together. So peace out and stay zooted.
In the history of mankind, men have been called out and written up millions of times over, but only one man was written up for, and I quote, making barnyard noises and wouldn't stop. Rest in power, my friend. Washiko.